Not because the idea wasn't bad and not because they weren't capable, but because they hit that stage and they just couldn't push through it. And if you can learn how to stay in the game when it feels pointless, that's when compounding finally starts to work in your favor. So why does it feel so pointless? First of all is the myth of overnight success. Social media is constantly showing us founders who raise 500,000 in 6 months or hit 100,000 users in a year. And when you compare what your reality is to the highlight reel of someone else, it feels like you're a bit of a failure. Second to that is that progress in the early days of building a startup is really invisible. You're building to foundations and things that aren't really that scalable. Customer conversations, prototypes, messy conversations, customer conversations, prototypes, messy spreadsheets, late night calls, but none of it is really showing up on the scoreboard just yet. And third to that, I think, is the loneliness of it. You don't always have someone who's there sort of validating you. No one is clapping for you. That silence makes it really easy to believe that everything you're doing is all for nothing. But what feels pointless right now in the short term, believe me, it's what's going to compound in the long term. But I want you to know that resilience isn't some magical skill or trait. I just want you to know that resilience isn't some magical trait. It's a learned skill. In fact, a study at UCL found that 92% of entrepreneurs said that resilience is the #1 skill required to be a successful founder. And those who have a lower resilience, well, they're twice as likely to quit. I kind of look at building a startup like investing. The first few months or years, your graph looks pretty flat. It feels like nothing's really happening, right? But what you don't see is the compounding effect that is kicking in the back end. Momentum is invisible right until it's not. Eventually, the graph will spike and take off like a rocket. So the game isn't about avoiding the pointless or boring phase. It's really about surviving it for. Now let's get a little bit real. How do you actually stay in the game when everything inside of you wants to quit? Here are 4 tools that really helped me when I was this close to quitting and that I know have helped other founders too. The first is really simple. Track your micro metrics. Don't just measure revenue or user growth. Those are things that take forever to actually move the dial. Instead, track micro things like the number of customer calls you had this week, the number of lines of code you shipped, and even the pieces of content that you published. Small wins are what give you proof that you're moving, even in reality if you're not just yet. The second thing is to replace motivation with actual rituals. What I mean by that is motivation, as probably most people know now, is quite unreliable. Some days you just won't feel like doing the thing. That's why rituals matter and why they're so important. For me, I like to block my mornings for really deep work. It's writing before I check the emails or jump into any meetings. Rituals, for me, are the thing that have helped me build discipline when my motivation is not there and I feel like not waking up or even actually doing the thing I need to do that day. Third to that, probably one of the most important, I would say, as well as resilience, is building a really strong peer circle. 76% of founders said that they feel lonely. I get it, but that's why you need other people to get it as well. Other builders, coaches, friends that are in the same trench as you. Share the grind with them. Because when you see someone else pushing it and staying through those hard times, that's what's going to motivate you to keep pushing through as well. The final thing is to zoom out and take a big look at the big picture. Daily progress often feels non-existent, right? It's really hard to track and measure. But if you zoom out over quarters or even years, you see the compounding effect in place. Every email, every meeting, every late night, they compound and they stack up. But that obviously only happens if you keep yourself in the game long enough. These tools, they don't make the grind glamorous, but they keep you in the game long enough. So if you're in that place right now where it feels like absolutely nothing is working, I want you to hear this. That feeling is totally normal. It doesn't mean you're failing. What it actually means is that you're in the exact stage where most people actually end up quitting. And if you can push through that stage and keep showing up when it really feels pointless, that's the difference between being another person who just gave up and quit and being the one who compounded something into extraordinary. Stay in the game. That's how you're going to win.